Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Professor Xie Guangming, I have honor to make to you one of our recent work. Thank you. The role of migration on the evolution of multiple strategies. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Zhang Yanling. I'm a doctoral candidate from College of Engineering, Peking University. My supervisor is Xie Guangming. My report is divided into 3 sections. In section 1, the model is brought in. In section 2, the method will be briefly addressed. In section 3, the main results are presented. Let's come in section 1, the model. As everyone knows, population migration is a ubiquitous feature of real ecosystems. As figures show, the migration is found in the animal, human, and economics. The trigger of migration is for better survival conditions. Recently, the role of migration is attracting more and more focus. Here, we only present 3 relative studies under the evolutionary game theory. There's a common thing in them. One set at most has one individual. Individuals only can migrate to empty sites. In contrast to the above works, we consider Island's model. This model can capture the essential biological features, and it is idealized to be mathematically tractable. In our model, multiple individuals are allowed to habitat in the same location. Game only happens between individuals in the same island. The updating follows the Wright-fisher process of the Moran process. The Wright-fisher process represents the case perfectly non-overlapping generations. The Moran process is an idealized case of overlapping generations. Real population may exist somewhere between them. The offspring migrates with probability V. Otherwise, the offspring stays in the same island as the parent. The optional islands are arranged in a circle. This is because the circular structure is ubiquitous on Earth. At the same time, it is the simplest geometry. Moreover, in our method, the one-dimensional structure can be easily expanded to higher dimensions. Here we only illustrate some migration patterns on 8 optional islands. Each square is an island. The arrows denote the range of migration. From figure 1 to figure 4, the range of migration is 1, 2, 3, 4. Our research goal is as follows. Firstly, we obtain the general results, how any migration pattern affects the evolution of multiple strategies in 2-person games and 3-person games. Then we apply our general results to some realistic settings. For example, we will investigate how the migration range to affect the evolution of cooperation. Let's go on with section 2, the method. A strategy in an optional strategy is selected for if its stationary frequency is above 1nth. Pesented derived a simple and beautiful condition for a strategy to be selected for in the limit of weak selection. This condition is presented in equation 1, where the parameters sigma 1 and sigma 2 are free of the payoff matrix. They only depend on the model and the dynamics. For special precise Pesented per rule, sigma 1 and sigma 2 depend on the strategy distribution of 3 randomly chosen individuals. She also provided a method to calculate such distribution. However, there are some imperfections in her method. First, her method required large populations, small migration probability, and small migration probability. Second, her method only aimed at global migration, can do nothing for local migration. To resolve the above imperfections, we provide a new method combining the Coalescent theory and with the random walk. This method will be introduced later. Here there are 3 points to be observed. Point 1, there are no constraints for the result of the Moran precise in our method. Point 2, our method can trace the migration and the mutation, so it can deal with any migration pattern or any mutation pattern. Point 3, our method can be extended from 2-person games to multiple-person games. Now I introduce our method. As everyone knows, when we look backwards in time, any 2 individuals will find their most recent common ancestor at some time. Then a Coalescent event occurs. Figure 1 illustrates the Coalescent event in the Wright-fisher precise. Each layer is a generation. The lower is the current generation. The upper is the last generation. The thin arrow starts from the offspring to his parent. When 2 thin arrows point to a single individual, a Coalescent event occurs. Figure 2 exemplifies the Coalescent event in the Moran precise. 2 individuals connected by the same thick arrow are the same person. When a thick arrow and a thin arrow point to a single individual, a Coalescent event occurs. In a generation of the Moran precise, there occurs at most 1 Coalescent event. However, in a generation of the Wright-fisher precise, there is a possibility of multiple Coalescent events. As figure 1 shows, 3 thin arrows point to a single individual. Figure 2 demonstrates for different population sizes the probability that 10 individuals have Xie ancestors in the previous generation. The right section omits the probability less than 1,000. We can conclude that for large populations, the probability of multiple Coalescent events is negligible. Another important concept in Coalescent theory is the generality. Ordinality of n individuals is defined as the consistency of them back to their most recent common ancestor. In mathematical language, ordinality is a stochastic process including both a discrete tree structure and some coalescence time intervals. The ordinality can be vividly characterized by a rooted bifurcating tree. This figure shows a ordinality of 4 individuals. The 4 individuals located at the bottom, the length of the branches are their ancestors. The bifurcating nodes means the coalescent events. The root is their most recent common ancestor. Based on the ordinality, we can calculate the strategy distribution of multiple individuals in 2 steps. Step 1. By looking backwards from now to the past, we can determine the tree structure, coalescent intervals, and the number of mutations. Step 2. By looking forward from the past to now, we can employ the random walk to trace the mutation and the migration, and finally obtain multiple individual strategy distribution. Let's go on with section 3, results. Due to time limitations, here we only present the results of 2-person games. In the Moran process, here we provide the values of sigma 1 and sigma 2. It is to be observed that these values are valid for any population size and any migration pattern. The migration pattern is reflected by the form of a function f. In the Wright-fisher process, the values of sigma 1 and sigma 2 are presented. These values are still effective for arbitrary migration patterns. However, they only hold for large populations. This constraint comes from neglecting multiple coalescent events in a generation. Except for this, the entire derivation no longer uses any other approximation. Therefore, the values should be more accurate than those obtained by previous methods. Under global migration, Tanita gave us the approximate values sigma 1 and sigma 2. Here, we compare our accurate sigma 1 with her approximate sigma 1. The x-axis is the migration rate NV, the y-axis is the mutation rate NU. The figures above describe the ratio of the error and the accurate one. The figures below describe the corresponding accurate one. We can conclude when NV and NU are small, the error is negligible and the approximation is great. When both grow, the error expands and the approximation is getting worse. Especially in the fourth figure above, the error is so large that the approximation no longer works here. Now we apply our results to the competence of TFT, RC, and RD. The x-axis is the range of migration. The y-axis is the ratio of cost and benefit. Each small figure has 4 lengths coming from the combination two updating processes and two population sizes. From the first three layers, we can conclude given not large NU with NA expanding, first long migration, then mediate migration, finally short migration, most favors cooperation. From the fourth layer, we can conclude with given large U, it is always short migration that most favors cooperation. By focusing on the second figure in the first layer, we can get the condition most favoring cooperation. The condition is low NU, mediate NA, mediate migration. Let's come to the end. I will make a conclusion of my report. I provide a new method to study the role of migration, and there are 5 points to be observed. Point 1. The results of the Moran process are valid for any population size and any migration pattern. Point 2. The results of the Wright-fisher process are effective for large population, but for any migration pattern. Point 3. The structure of islands can be expanded from the one dimension to multiple dimensions. Point 4. Our method can easily expand it from 2-person game to 3-person game. Point 5. Our method can also be used to investigate the influence of local mutation. That's all. Thank you.
So let's thanks to Dr. Yanling Zhang, and since we have enough time, maybe we can ask 3 questions. Okay? Please.
Deviation from the approximation. You showed that the Corina-Ternita's approximation is very different from your simulation, right? Sorry, you showed the difference between approximation and then your calculation, more exact calculation. What are the major things? Why it failed? I thought her adopt the weak selection assumption. Weak selection. B and C may be very small, right? Don't know. What do you think is the reason of the major reason of the deviation?
他的问的问题就是说，你这个理论结果可能是基于弱选择或者基于其他条件进行的，然后最后这个模拟结果和你的理论结果可能会有些差异。然后他的IIASA想问的问题是你觉得是哪一部分导致了这个问题？就是弱选择的那一部分，还是说参数选择，或者是
I understand. These 2 results are obtained under weak selection. The error caused is in her method. They use 2 approximations. We don't use. The first approximation is the Coalescent time should follow the geometric distribution. In her method, it is approximately exponentially distributed. The second approximation is in her method, the number of mutations over a given length is approximately Poisson distributed, but the number of mutations over a given length should follow the binomial distribution. The first approximation requires large populations. The second approximation requires the long generality and small migration probability and small migration probability. That's my explanation.
Okay, thank you. So the second question.
Yeah, that was an impressive talk. Thank you very much. I was wondering whether you could offer an interpretation of the structure coefficients sigma 1 and sigma 2. What is your version of the meaning of sigma 1 and sigma 2?
Sigma 1 and sigma 2 characterize the model and the dynamics. In other words, he can characterize the updating process, the population structure, the mutation probability, migration probability. They are free of the payoff matrix and didn't are free of the number of strategies. So I said the condition is beautiful and simple. Thank you.
So the third question, maybe it's Chinese question, it's also okay. So maybe I ask a question. Could you go to the last page? So because I found that your presentation is about migration and Professor Wang's presentation is also about migration, and you studied a similar problem, also the evolution of operation. So I want to know if you could provide a very simple intuition, what's the difference between your results? Or, because here, of course, you studied one-dimensional migration, and in Professor Wang's model, if you consider maybe the square lattice, 2 dimensions. So is it possible to, for instance, use your method to solve Professor Wang's question to provide a theoretical model for Professor Wang's question for his simulation? Do you think it's possible?
We consider the island model. This model allows multiple individuals to habitat in the same location. Professor Wang considers the game on graph. One side only at most has an individual. Our study, if we want our study to expand their study, the most challenge is the updating rule. We use the global updating rule, but they should update the local updating rule. This is always my try.
Okay, thank you. Let's thank Yanling again.